right now we are going to talk about time. How to ask about time. So, Lance, imagine you're in the middle of the street and you want to find out what time it is. What would you do? And if you want to ask somebody the question about time, how exactly should you say it?
So if I wanted to ask somebody the time, first of all, I'd look and see if they're older than me or if they're younger than me. So, for example, if I'm a full-grown adult and it's a 14-year-old kid, I wouldn't address them the same way as I would if it was a guy that's 30 or 40 or 50. If it was a guy that's 30 years or older or older than me, then I would say, "Excuse me, sir, do you happen to have the time?" Or, "Excuse me, sir, do you know what time it is?" Something like that. I would probably address him as sir. If it was a little kid, I wouldn't call a little kid sir. I would probably, how would I say it? I can't really think of any formal way to say it.
You would say like, hey.
I would probably be like, hey kid, you could say it that way, or just make eye contact with them and then just say,
hey, do you know what time it is?
If I made eye contact, I'd be like, hey, do you happen to have the time? Or I could just make eye contact and say, do you know what time it is? Or, hey, do you know what time it is? If I needed to get his attention, I might say, hey, kid, or you don't really want to say, hey, you. People do that all the time, but it's, kind of rude. You don't really address somebody as,
say, hey, buddy,
as you, and some people, could be offended. If somebody yelled to me, hey, you, what time is it? I would probably, I would be offended, and I would probably give them the wrong time. Then if it's a female, same thing. If it's, somebody that's 30 years or older or somebody older than me, I would say ma'am. I wouldn't say hey. You'd be more formal with a woman, or at least I would. I would say, excuse me, ma'am, do you happen to have the time? Or excuse me, ma'am, do you know what time it is? And then if it was a girl under 30, I'm just kind of arbitrarily picking this age 30, give or take, years depending on the circumstances. But if it's a younger girl, then I'd say, miss, excuse me, miss, do you have the time? But it depends on the setting, too. If I was in a bank or a business environment, then you'd say, excuse me, miss, do you have the time? If I was, in a bar with a bunch of girls, it would, some kind of, I don't know, you wouldn't really say miss, you'd be like, and then you might say, hey, do you have the time? Trying to be more informal. If you call a girl miss, it's very formal, and it might seem kind of weird or awkward in an informal setting. They might laugh at you.
Yeah. So for our subscribers, let's repeat those phrases. Say it fast and then say it slowly.
Excuse me, sir, do you have the time? Excuse me, do you have the time? Excuse me, sir, do you have the time? Excuse me, do you have the time? Hey, do you happen to have the time? Say, do you have the time? Hey, do you happen to have the time? Say, do you have the time? Pardon me, miss, do you know what time it is? Pardon me, miss, do you know what time it is?
Okay, thanks so much, Lance.